Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Buenos días, señor.
Are you able to speak and understand English, sir?
¿Usted entiende y puede hablar el inglés?
En español, por favor.
Please, Spanish.
All right, no worries. All right, sir, you were arrested for 3 charges. Battery, first-degree misdemeanor, tampering with a witness to interfere with testimony or information to law enforcement, a third-degree felony, and criminal mischief greater than $200, less than $1,000, a first-degree misdemeanor.
Bien, señor. Usted fue detenido por 3 acusaciones. El primero ha sido por agresión física, el segundo por presionar un testigo a tal punto de que estaba intentando influenciar el poder esa persona testificar ante un agente policial, delito de 3er grado, y causar daños a propiedad ajena de más de $200, pero menos de $1,000, una falta.
Permiso, no escuché nada. Pueden subir el volumen porque nada escuché.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I couldn't hear anything.
All right. Can you repeat that? Were you able to hear Ms. Kitana?
Yes, Your Honor, I can hear.
Señor,
Alright.
¿usted pudo escucharme?
Si sube un tono un poquito más.
He's asking me to raise my voice a little bit louder. I will repeat the charges again, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you.
Señor, usted fue detenido por 3 acusaciones. 1, por agresión física. El segundo, por presionar un testigo para impedir que pudiese testificar contra a un agente policial, delito de 3er grado, y causar daños a propiedad ajena de más de $200 en daños, pero menos de 1,000, lo cual es una falta.
There is probable cause for the charges.
¿Existe suficiente indicios razonables de criminalidad para sustentar estas acusaciones?
The public defender is provisionally appointed to represent you. You can also hire a private attorney if you wish.
Provisionalmente se le está designando defensor público para asistirle, pero si usted desea también puede contratar abogado particular.
Your bonds are going to be $2,500 on count 2, $500 on count 3, and $500 on count 1 for a total of $3,500.
Las fianzas serán 2.500 con respecto al segundo cargo, 500 con respecto al tercer cargo, 500 con respecto al primer cargo, por un monto total de $1,500. I'm sorry, Your Honor, the interpreter has to correct herself. $3,500.
Conditions of bond are that you may not have contact with Lomaris Rivera Camacho.
Condiciones de la fianza serán que usted estará prohibido tener ningún tipo de contacto con Lamaris Ramírez Camacho.
You may not return to 301 Alegriano Court in Kissimmee.
Prohibido regresar al 301 Alegria Court en Kissimmee.
You must maintain a separate residence.
Prohibido la convivencia con la víctima.
You may return one time with law enforcement to obtain personal belongings.
Se le permite una vez regresar escoltado por agente policial para recoger sus pertenencias.
And you may not possess any weapons or firearms while the case is pending.
Y mientras que este caso esté abierto, usted estará prohibido la tenencia de arma de fuego o arma alguna.
Ms. Cotano, is there anything further I need to address?
No, Your
Licenciada Catano, ¿queda algo más que tenemos que ocuparnos?
No, sería todo entendido.
Nothing
No,
from the
that-
defense.
All right.
Nada por parte de la defensa. No, Your Honor, that would be all. I understood it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Gracias, señor.
All right, Angela Escobar Peña. Hi, good morning, ma'am.
Buenos días, señora.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Ma'am, you were arrested on the charge of misdemeanor battery.
Señora, le detuvieron a usted por una acusación que se considera una falta y es de agresión física.
You are entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and I am provisionally appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent you.
Usted tiene el derecho a la asistencia letrada y de manera provisional le estoy designando un defensor público.
There is probable cause for the arrest.
¿Existe indicios razonables de criminalidad para sustentar este arresto?
I'm going to set your bond at $500 with conditions.
Impondré fianza de $500 con ciertas condiciones.
You must maintain a separate residence from the listed victim, Mr. Quintero.
Usted estará prohibido la convivencia con la presunta víctima, el señor Quintero.
You may not have contact with Mr. Quintero.
Prohibido ningún tipo de contacto con el señor Quintero.
You may return one time with law enforcement to obtain your personal belongings at 4524 Freedom Road in Kissimmee.
Se le permitirá una vez escoltada por agente policial para ir a recoger sus pertenencias en la 4525 Freedom Road, Kissimmee.
And you may not possess any weapons or firearms while the case is pending.
Y mientras que este caso esté abierto, usted estará prohibido de tener arma de fuego o arma alguna.
All right. Ms. Quintano, is there anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Licenciada, ¿algo más? No, su señoría.
Ms. Perry, is there anything further from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right, terrific. Thank you, ma'am.
¿Algo más aparte de la fiscalía? No, su señoría. Fenomenal. Entonces, muchas gracias, señora.
All right, would you, Madam Interpreter, before I let you go for the rest of Osceola's first appearances, would you ask if anyone else needs your assistance?
¿Hay alguien más ahí en la sala que va a requerir los servicios de un intérprete en español? Si es así, levante la mano, por favor.
Yes, Your Honor, we have two.
Two more, okay.
Yes, Your Honor, Angel Ortiz and last name is Gonzalez.
Angel Ortiz and Gonzalez Omeda?
Yes.
Okay. And Angel Ortiz. Okay, let's take Mr. Ortiz next.
El siguiente será el señor Ortiz.
Here he is. Hi, good afternoon, sir.
Buenas tardes, señor.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you were arrested on charges of aggravated battery and burglary, armed or becoming armed.
Bien, señora, usted la arrestaron por agresión física calificada y entrada con fines delictivos a mano armada o por armarse.
There is probable cause.
Existe indicios razonables de criminalidad.
You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and the Public Defender's Office will be provisionally appointed to represent you. You can also hire a private lawyer if you wish.
Usted tiene el derecho a la asistencia letrada, por lo tanto, de manera provisional se le está designando un defensor público y, además, si usted lo desea, podrá también contratar abogado particular.
You qualify for pretrial release with a bond.
Usted reúne requisitos para la libertad provisional con fianza.
So I'm going to reduce your bond on account 1 to $1,000.
Se reducirá la fianza con respecto al primer cargo a unos $1,000.
Ms. Perry, I believe the second count would be punishable by life offense, but based on the circumstances I'm reading, I'm wondering if the state would be wanting me to not set bond at this time, or does the state have waive objection to setting a bond?
Licenciada, me parece que con respecto al segundo cargo eso acarrea cadena perpetua, pero teniendo en cuenta las circunstancias, quiero saber si la Fiscalía desea que no se fije fianza o tiene objeción a que se fije fianza.
Let me have 1 minute, Your Honor.
Sure.
Permítame un momento, Su Señoría.
Your Honor, I don't want to waive.
All right, that's fine.
But I'd like a high bond if possible.
Okay, so you don't want to waive, or you?
I don't want to waive.
Okay, so I'm not going to set a bond on count 2. So a bond motion can be filed with the division judge, and everyone can present their evidence at that time with regard to the amount for that charge.
Su Señoría, no deseo renunciar a ello. Si acaso se tiene que imponer uno, pido que sea lo más alto posible. Entonces, ¿me está diciendo que no está dispuesta a renunciar? No. Muy bien. Entonces, no se fijará fianza con respecto a la segunda acusación y se le permitirá a las partes radicar un pedimento ante el juez que corresponde en esa división, para entonces así presentar cualquier evidencia que consideran necesarias para esa acusación.
And I want the record to reflect that the charging affidavit reflects that this was a burglary of a dwelling with a battery with some significant physical injuries to one of the alleged victims.
Quiero que conste en actas que conforme al documento acusatorio, la agresión física, el acto de entrada ilícita con fines delictivos fue dentro de un inmueble en la cual se realizó agresión física significantes contra la presunta víctima.
Okay, thank you.
Muy bien, gracias.
All right, then did I hand you? No, here it is. All right. Jeremy Jose Gonzalez Olmeda. Good afternoon, sir.
Buenas tardes, señor.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you were arrested on the charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon.
Señor, le detuvieron a usted por intimidación calificada con arma mortífera.
There is probable cause.
Existen suficientes indicios de criminalidad.
You qualify for pretrial release with a bond.
Usted reúne los suficientes requisitos para la libertad provisional con fianza.
So your bond will be $1,500 with pretrial release conditions.
Por lo tanto, la fianza será $1,500 con condiciones en el programa de libertad provisional.
You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer.
Usted tiene el derecho a la asistencia letrada de un abogado.
I am provisionally appointing the public defender to represent you, and you can hire a private lawyer if you wish as well.
Le estoy designando de manera provisional un defensor público para representarle. Sin embargo, si desea contratar un abogado particular, también podrá hacer eso.
Ms. Quintana, anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Licenciada, ¿algo adicional? No, su señoría.
All right, thank you, sir.
Bien, gracias, señor.
All right, I believe that concludes all of the individuals who need the assistance of the interpreter. So Ms. Arroyo, we'll call you back when we get to the orange cases.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. All right, so for the remainder of the Osceola docket, I will announce that I am provisionally appointing the public defender to represent each of you unless you already have private counsel. If you already have a private attorney, please advise when you step up to the microphone. Next individual will be William Bostic. Good afternoon, Mr. Bostic.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm well, thanks, sir. Sir, you were arrested for the charge of battery on a pregnant victim, domestic violence. There is probable cause for the arrest. You do qualify for pretrial release conditions with a bond. I don't believe we have a witness here today, and I noted in the arrest affidavit the victim did not wish to prosecute and declined to write a sworn statement. So on that basis, I'm going to impose some usual domestic violence conditions, but I'm going to grant a low bond in those situations. So the bond will be $500 with pretrial release conditions. Sir, you can't have any, while this case is pending, you cannot have any contact with the alleged victim. You must maintain a separate residence. If you, it doesn't say, but it looks like you all live together. So you can return one time with law enforcement to obtain personal belongings, but you'll have to live somewhere else while this case is pending or until the state attorney decides what it's doing with the case. And you may not possess any weapons or firearms while the case is pending. All right, Ms. Perry, do you have any other conditions you would be requesting?
No, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Quintana, anything further?
Nothing further from the defense, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions, Mr. Bostic?
No, sir.
Okay, take care, sir.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All right, then we have John Cohen. Good afternoon, Mr. Cohen. Sir, you were arrested for violation of pretrial release conditions in a domestic violence case. Can
I say something real quick, Your Honor?
You shouldn't say anything today, sir, because it can be used against you, and we're not really doing anything other than dealing with probable cause and appointment of counsel and so forth. There is probable cause because you were found with the, according to the affidavit, you were found with the person you weren't supposed to be near. You don't qualify for pretrial release. Your bond will be set at $2,500 with conditions of no contact with the alleged, no contact with the person you're restrained from being near, which is Ashley Cox, and you may not return to the location where you were arrested. You were out on bond in case number 22 CF 2889. This arrest constitutes a violation of that bond, so your bond's going to be revoked, and you'll be held on pretrial detention pursuant to the statute. So there'll be zero bond on that case. Okay?
If the witness is in the courtroom, can she testify that she's trying to?
Sir?
Yes, sir.
Just listen to the public defender, please, okay? All right, thank you. All right, Hector Luis Colon Roman. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
All right, I don't know if you were going over 100 miles an hour or not, but that never sounds good when somebody's reading an arrest affidavit. Sir, you were arrested, though, for failure or for driving with a suspended or revoked license. There is probable cause. You qualify, though, for pretrial release conditions, so I'm going to reduce your bond and release you on pretrial release conditions. All right, you're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and I've already announced I'm appointing the public defender to represent you. I don't think I need to give you any conditions because if you're driving again, you're going to get picked up again. So no special conditions other than standard pretrial release conditions, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, Nelson Camacho. All right, good afternoon, sir. Mr. Camacho, you were arrested for the charge of operating a motor vehicle without a valid license. There is probable cause. You do not qualify for pretrial release because you were already out on pretrial release. So your bond will be stayed at $500 in this case. In case number 22 MM1127, your pretrial release is going to be revoked and you'll be held on pretrial detention, zero bond. In that case, okay? And I've already appointed the public defender.
Your Honor, the defense would like to request ROR in this case, if at all possible. The defendant is set for a plea this Friday for his other case.
Okay, well, he has a bond, So I think the bond is fine. I'll reduce it to 250. How's
Thank
that?
you. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. All right, then the next individual is Edward Costa.
Oh, he's in the hospital, Your Honor, St. Cloud Hospital.
All right, so he'll be reset for tomorrow. Ashley Cox. All right, good morning, Ms. Cox. You were arrested on the charges of possession of a controlled substance without a prescription and possession of drug paraphernalia. There is probable cause. You qualify for direct pretrial release conditions, so I'm going to reduce the bond to direct pretrial release conditions. You may not possess or use any drugs or narcotics without a valid prescription. In addition to pretrial release conditions, and also I'm going to order that you maintain contact with the Public Defender's Office unless and until you hire private counsel. And you may not return to the location where you were arrested. Okay? Thank you, ma'am. All right, then we have Joshua Hammond. Good afternoon, Mr. Hammond.
Good afternoon.
How do you pronounce your middle name?
Ellie.
Ellie?
Ellie.
All right. That's what it looked like, but I wasn't sure. All right. Sir, you were arrested for the charge of assault. There is probable cause. You might have a more serious charge if you had actually caught the person you were chasing. Let's see. You qualify for pretrial release with a bond. There's not a witness here today, so I'm going to impose ordinary domestic violence conditions, but I'm going to set your bond at $250 based on what I'm reading with pretrial release conditions. While this case is pending, you cannot have contact with the listed victim. You have to maintain a separate residence. You can return one time with law enforcement to obtain personal belongings if you share a residence. You can't possess any weapons or firearms while the case is pending. All right?
Yes, Your Honor, may I request for ROR because I have a small dependent child out there with my 70-year-old grandmother.
I gave you the lowest bond I can give you
Yes,
with
Your Honor.
pretrial release conditions. I would give you pretrial release conditions with ROR if I could, but I can't. So, okay?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Joel Santiago Robles, and there are two cases. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, in one case you were arrested for misdemeanor battery dating violence. There is probable cause for that arrest. In the second case, you were charged with burglary of an unoccupied dwelling and criminal mischief of $1,000 or more. You qualify for pretrial release conditions with a bond. So in the first case, I'm going to set your bond at the amount of $2,500. And that's based on the nature of the offense and the circumstances of the offense. And that will be with pretrial release conditions. You may not have contact with Barbara Escobar. You may not return to 1920 Island Circle. You may not possess any weapons or firearms. All right, and then in case number, I don't have a case number. In the second case, your bonds are stayed at $5,000 on count 1 and $1,000 on count 2 for a total of $6,000, and the conditions of bond will be the same. All right, Ms. Perry, is there anything further the state would be requesting in those cases?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Quintana, anything further from defense?
Yes, Your Honor. The defense requests one-time return with law enforcement. He resides there.
I didn't read that. I don't believe he resides there. If you all need to set something with the division judge, that would be most appropriate. But I don't recall reading that he resided there.
Yes, Your Honor. The defendant is telling me that he resides there.
Under the circumstances, I'm not going to grant that. The division judge can take some evidence on that.
Understood, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Joy Gibson with the pretrial release. Is that PTR on both cases?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, Quincy Smith. Quincy Smith.
Refused, Your Honor. Oh, he's detoxing, so here.
Okay. So he'll be reset for tomorrow. All right, then we have Juan Velez. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Velez.
Good afternoon.
Officer, what case is he out on bond for?
That will be a case out of Seminole County, Your Honor.
Okay, so I have no authority over the bond. All right, so you were arrested for driving while license suspended or revoked with knowledge. That's a first-degree misdemeanor. There is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. I've already addressed that and appointed the public defender to represent you. You don't qualify for pretrial release conditions. I'm going to leave your bond set at $500. I'm not going to set any special conditions. This could affect your bond in Seminole. I don't know. Okay? Do you have a case number for Seminole?
Yes, Your Honor. That case number is 2022.
Do you know what the nature of that case is?
I'm sorry, she had muted it. It's 2022 CT 2257 is also a traffic case.
Okay.
Would you like to know the charge, Your Honor?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Knowing that it's traffic is good enough. All right, thank you, sir. All right, the next individual will be Benton Wells. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Wells.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, you were arrested for violation of a domestic injunction. There is probable cause. You qualify for pretrial release conditions with a bond. The circumstances are a little bit disturbing based on the arrest affidavit. I'm going to set your bond at $2,500. You are ordered not to be within 1,000 feet of 4919 Sausalito Lane. You may not have contact with Alicia Marie Willis. You may not possess any weapons or firearms. Remind me, Ms. Quintano, is there a child involved?
Yes, my daughter.
Okay, so you do have a shared child. You can have indirect contact through a third party, and it has to be non-hostile contact through a third party only concerning parental time sharing with your daughter. But you can't have direct contact with Ms. Willis. You're going to have to arrange time sharing with her through a third party, and that third party can only discuss time sharing matters, and it has to be non-hostile. Okay? All right, so anything further, Ms. Perry, on that case?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Quintano, anything further?
Yes, Your Honor, just to clarify, can he talk to the child's mother's mother?
As long as he's not trying to send a message to Ms. Willis, he can talk to the child's grandmother, the child's maternal grandmother, regarding time sharing and custody issues, but that's it. You can't talk to the maternal grandmother in an attempt to influence the mother.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure. Truman White. Good afternoon, Mr. White. Well, it looks like you've been in Texas, huh?
Yeah, I was there for Thanksgiving.
Okay. Well, so somehow they figured out you were there and they picked you up and extradited you back. And so it looks like you were arrested for failure to appear for arraignments, and it was actually I who had issued me who had issued the capias for that.
Yes, Your Honor, I don't know if you received the letter from the defendant. He informed me that he did submit a letter to your office. I don't know if you have it in front of you, but he failed to appear in front of Your Honor due to being in the hospital, and he has proof of that.
If he's the one I'm thinking about, I don't have the letter in front of me, but if he's the one I'm thinking about, there were a couple of different letters, a couple of different times, and I think the letter may have come after the fact or something.
It was a day too short, I believe.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Did the letter enclose any proof?
There was supposed to be a letterhead from the hospital as well as a picture of my vehicle from the car accident.
Let me take a look real quick. Yeah, there was, well, the letter was filed the same day as the arraignment, and so I'm sure we didn't have it then. There was an attachment that was dated 3 days before the arraignment, and it,
Picture of the vehicle.
no, it's, the only thing is an email and a picture of some Advent Health documentation that indicated you were not in the hospital.
I was also stranded out in Leesburg after that accident, so.
Yeah.
I got it already.
Ms. Quintano, have your office get this before, well, I'm on emergency duty this week. Take a look at the... All right, I'm going to set bond on the amended charge of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon at $2,500, and I'll set bond on the drug possession charge at $500. So that'd be a total bond of $3,000. May not possess or use any drugs or narcotics without a valid prescription, may not possess any weapons or firearms. Okay?
Your Honor, the defendant is asking about the old bond that he had. Will it be reinstated?
No, it won't be reinstated, and because he was arrested on the warrant, the statute requires that I, at a minimum, double it. And the old bond dealt with a lesser charge. He's been charged with a second-degree felony now. Originally, it was a third-degree felony. So it's a very reasonable bond under all of those circumstances.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, take care, sir.
Thank you.
William Zulke. We have two cases.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Zulke. Sir, you were arrested on both of these cases on capiases following your failure to appear.
Yes, sir. In Illinois.
Yeah, you were picked up in Illinois and extradited back down.
No, sir. The warrant was non-extraditable. I served 2 weeks in Illinois and was released. I've come down here for Thanksgiving and was stopped at a bank last night.
Okay. This says McDonald's, maybe?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that you had a court date up in Marion County, Illinois. I looked at the court file up there. So you had some kind of court hearing on these warrants. I don't know what they did or didn't do up there. But anyway,
Yes, sir.
you were arrested on those warrants. There is no bond at this time. So you can get back to the division
Yes, sir.
judge for release conditions, okay?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, then we have Shauna Toomey. Ms. Toomey, good afternoon. You were arrested on the charge of battery by an inmate on a detainee. There is probable cause for the arrest on that charge. Your bond on this charge is $1,000. You may not have contact other than perhaps some incidental contact at the jail that's beyond your control, but otherwise you cannot have contact with the listed victim, Jamie Godwin. All right. I've advised you of your right to counsel, and I've appointed the public defender provisionally to represent you. Okay? Then we have Stephen Berkey.
Your Honor, he's detoxing. You can reset it for tomorrow.
Well, this is the second time. Do you want to waive his appearance, or do you want it reset?
Just one more time, can we reset it, please?
All right, so it'll be reset for first appearances tomorrow in Osceola County.
Thank you.
Thank you, and that concludes everything, I believe, today, correct?
Yes. Anybody else?
All right.
That's it, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Quintano. Take care.
Take care.
All right, I'm going to disconnect this. Can we get started, or are we still waiting? This one might have an alleged victim, I think. Here we go. Is that the only person?
Okay.
That's the only person, Your Honor.
All right, terrific. So the first case then is Virginia Figueroa, 22 MM7942. Oh,
Your Honor, Dominique
And, the
Cunningham
first
for the
ones?
Office of the Public Defender.
I'm sorry?
For the record, Dominique Cunningham for the Office of the Public.
Thank you. And for the state?
Camila Perry for the
And
state, Your Honor.
for pretrial release.
Your name.
All right. Let's see. Do I use this one for the interpreter today? Yeah, it's not.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. This is Laura Arroyo, State Certified Interpreter.
Good afternoon again, Ms. Arroyo. We have 3 individuals who need your assistance with the headset.
Yes, Your Honor. Connection is established.
Thank you. All right, so we have Virginia Figueroa, 22 MM7942.
Yes.
All right. Ma'am, you were arrested for the charge of battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. And the public defender's office is provisionally appointed to represent you.
Yes.
I don't see the alleged victim here to testify. It appears that the listed victim does not reside with you.
Sorry, Your Honor, was that does not?
Does not.
No.
She doesn't.
All right. I see that it is a close family relationship. And I'm considering the nature of the offense, or as alleged. So I'm going to set your bond relatively low because you do not qualify for pretrial release. Set your bond at $500. You may not have contact with Liz Baez. You may not possess any weapons or firearms while the case is pending. So if you have contact with Liz Baez, you will be you'll be in violation of your release terms. So it's very important that you understand you cannot talk to her, you cannot communicate with her in writing or through social media or through a party. No contact in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Yes.
All right. Ms. Perry, does the state request anything further?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Anything further, Ms. Cunningham?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. The next individual will be Pablo Hernandez Diaz, case number 22CF13707. Good afternoon, sir.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you were arrested for the charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon. There is probable cause. The alleged victim is not here. Again, I understand that it is a family member, and I also understand there were some other circumstances involved. You have a bond of $3,500. I'm going to order that you not possess any weapons or firearms, including knives, while the case is pending. Also going to order that you have no alcohol consumption and no drugs or narcotics without a prescription based on the circumstances of the case. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and I'm going to provisionally appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Thank you, sir. All right, then the next individual is Juan Gomez. All right, this is case number 2009. There are actually three cases. 2009 CF 7996, 2009 CT 8016, and 2009 CT 8017. Sir, you were arrested on habeas warrants for failure to appear.
Sí, pero solo fue uno.
Yes, but it was only for one.
I'm going to reduce the bonds to zero on each case because of the extent of time that passed since the failures to appear. I think the division judge needs to take a look at this and decide what is appropriate. So each case will be set at zero until Mr. Gomez can see the division judge. All right, is there anything further, Ms. Cunningham, on these?
Your Honor, is the Public Defender's Office appointed?
Yes, thank you. I assume you already were, but it's long.
I don't know that we were appointed on these.
Okay, so I'll provisionally appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you, sir, in each of the cases. You are entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You can hire a lawyer if you wish.
¿Cómo termino? ¿Voy a estar arrestado o cómo?
How is this finishing? Am I now arrested or what?
You were arrested for failure to appear in court in 2009 on your three cases.
Okay.
Excuse me, Judge. Did you see that he has two failure to appear?
Three failure to appears.
Well, not the three, but they opened the terms like
Es que yo no sabía que.
that was put on those cases.
Sorry, the interpreter's having a hard time hearing the defendant. I'm going to ask him to get closer to the microphone.
On the warrant, the two.
No supe cómo. O sea, no sabía nada de las leyes, por eso no.
They had a bond in home confinement. And
I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know anything about the law.
O sea, no sabía cómo seguir.
I didn't know how to proceed.
Sir, I've appointed a lawyer to represent you, and they can explain to you in Spanish what's happening, and they can take your cases to the presiding judge.
Your Honor, based off of what pretrial release said, the case numbers that
Okay.
are put for those two that he has a failure to appear on. Those are two of the case numbers that were addressed. Additionally, did Your Honor not receive a signed affidavit of insolvency? Is that why we're provisionally appointed?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding, Officer Thomas, what you were saying. Right? I took away the bonds in all three because of the length of time for the division judges to address. Got in trouble, what? Oh. I'm sorry,
Is there a different case that you're raising? There's 3 cases in front of him. That's all he's doing. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not,
sure what you're.
I don't remember, I don't recall seeing anything about a detainer. Yeah. So,
Your Honor?
yes.
I know that you set no bond on this case, but the reason why he doesn't have an affidavit of insolvency done is because there wasn't a Spanish person to go over it with him, so it was never presented to him. I don't know if the court would consider that when considering the bond. I know it's been a long amount of time, but now he's no bond on these 3 cases that are so old, and he's not going to have an attorney that can reach out to him because the public defender's office wasn't appointed based off of the fact that he doesn't speak Spanish, or he doesn't speak English.
But I've provisionally appointed the public defender today.
Yes, Your Honor, and I understand that, but once IAs is over, that provisional provision, like, won't be appointed. Once, so
You're
we won't know when he
appointed
gets.
until he hires a lawyer or until the court determines that he's self-representing.
Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, that's the way we do it in Osceola. I'm not sure how they do it in Orange, but the provisional appointment is not for today only. In Osceola, the PD, if they're provisionally appointed, will then get to the jail and help them complete an affidavit so that the office can be fully appointed. Is that not what happens here?
From what I understand, we are appointed for IA purposes only because there's no affidavit of insolvency and he hasn't been determined to be entity. I don't know if the clerk can shed some light on that, but that is my understanding.
So when I have been provisionally appointing, I've been doing it with the intent that the public defender follows through with everyone who needs an affidavit and gets the affidavit.
Yes, I understand, Your Honor, but that information isn't going to come to our office because we're temporarily appointed for IA purposes. So once IA is over, that appointment is done. And so the information doesn't get sent to my office unless we are appointed. Like, not temporarily, but we are appointed.
Well, I can't appoint without a completed affidavit. Statute requires a completed affidavit.
And yes, Your Honor, I understand that. I'm asking you to take that into consideration. I know that you set him at no bond. So now he's going to be sitting simply because he doesn't speak English. That's why he wasn't given this form.
And your office can't send someone down to help him?
I can request that information be sent to him to be filled out, but I don't know when that's going to happen because, again, when we're appointed, all of that information is sent over to my office. A file is created, letters are sent out. There's a whole process that it goes through, but since we are only appointed for IA purposes, that is not going to happen.
All right. here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make an appointment of the public defender in each of these cases. Madam Clerk, please note on the orders that the appointment is to be reviewed by the division judge, and he is to complete an affidavit next time he is in court. And if you can make some notes, Ms. Cunningham, as
Yes,
well.
Your Honor.
I think that'll take care of everybody's concern. I'm going ahead and,
Put it in the system. That's what she's trying to say.
yeah, and I'm going ahead and appointing it, but I want there to be a review hearing on that appointment because there's got to be an affidavit.
Yes, Your Honor, and if we're appointed, it'll trigger, because we put in the AOIs in our system as well. So if we don't have it, it'll trigger it, and then one will be sent to him at that point.
10-4, okay. Ms. Perry, is there anything you want to add to this discussion?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
That's
Is
Thank
that,
you, Your Honor.
thank you. Is that the last person we need the interpreter? All right, thank you, Ms. Arroyo. Have a great day.
You're welcome, Your Honor. The interpreter will disconnect.
All right, Mr. Gooden, Brian Gooden. This is 22 CF. Well, I can't tell. There's no letter, so maybe it's not a CF. I can't tell what the number is. The number that's listed is 20222355590. Whether that's the correct number or not, I don't know. All right, sir, you were arrested for violation of probation on a warrant, I believe, out of Volusia County.
I didn't realize I was still on probation.
I'm sorry?
I didn't realize I was still on probation. I sent out my last form months ago.
Yeah, I have no idea because that's not a local case, sir. The warrant was issued August 5th of 2022, and there's not a bond. So you're going to be transferred to, you'll be transported to Volusia where you'll be able to get before the judge to address the situation. I've provisionally appointed the public defender's office here to assist you if there's anything they need to assist you with, okay? All right, thank you, sir. All right, then the next case, Ruben Carranza Duran. All right. Sir, you were arrested for battery by strangulation, domestic violence, and battery dating violence. There is probable cause. You do qualify for pretrial release directly. There's not a victim or an alleged victim here to testify today. You do not qualify for appointment of the public defender. So you are, though, entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You can hire a lawyer, okay? If you fail to appear at court, your pretrial release will be revoked and you can be held without bond, okay? So stay in touch with pretrial release. The conditions of release are going to be that you may not have contact with Ava Mille. All right, you may not return to 7419 Armstrong Road.
You said I may not?
You may not. Is that where you were residing?
Yes, that is my current address.
All right, so you can go one time with a law enforcement officer, but only with the law enforcement officer to get some personal belongings. Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes.
He's stating that the victim does not live at that home, so would Your Honor consider maintain separate residences? That way, if she's not there, then there won't be any problems.
Let me take a look. I'm reminded that she called the father according to this. I'm going to stand by my order if there is, she apparently had some things there. So if she's not currently living there, then the order can be revised for sure. But I think that needs to be confirmed, and today's not an evidentiary hearing for that, okay?
Your Honor, if I may?
Yes.
It does say, I believe it's the third line on the affidavit, that up until approximately a year ago, the victim even resided with the defendant for approximately a year.
Right, but it later says she has some things there, which indicates to me she was staying there. So I don't know, and I'm not going to make any assumptions today, okay? So that's something that you all can address with the division judge. But I'm not going to inadvertently create a problem by allowing him to go there, and then turns out she's there. I don't know, and I'm not going to deal with that. Okay. You may not possess any weapons or firearms while this case is pending. Ms. Perry, is there anything else the state would be requesting?
No, Your Honor.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam Clerk. So it's PTR. It's PTR conditions with those additional conditions. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Dixon?
Yes, sir.
Davian Dixon. Sir, you were arrested for aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and battery, misdemeanor battery. There is probable cause for the arrest. You do not qualify for the public defender's representation. So you're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, so you can hire a private attorney, sir. I'm going to set your bond on count 1 at $2,500, on count 2 at $500, for a total bond of $3,000. You may not possess or any weapons or firearms. You may not have contact with the listed victim, Keeley. Must obviously maintain a separate residence because of the no contact. Looks like you all maybe are from Georgia. Is there anything else, Ms. Perry, the state would be requesting?
No, Your Honor.
And let me see. The firearm was taken into custody by the law enforcement, so you can't have any other weapons or firearms, sir. Anything else, Ms. Cunningham?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. Yes.
Is it okay, you give permission for him to return back to Georgia?
He can return to Georgia upon being released.
My apologies. I'll be residing here with my father.
Oh, he said he was residing with Judge.
Residing where? Okay, that's fine. You just have to be in court when you're required to be in court. Okay? Thank you. All right. Alfreda LaCarpa. All right. This is case number 22 CF 13726. You were arrested for aggravated battery, domestic violence, causing great bodily harm. There is probable cause, although based on the arrest affidavit, it seems that you were not the instigator. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and I'm appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent you. You do not qualify for pretrial release. I'm going to set your bond at $1,000. I'm going to order that you maintain a separate residence from the listed victim, Carl Lovett. I'll allow you to return to 1027 West Gore Street one time with law enforcement to obtain your personal belongings, and you can't have contact with Mr. Lovett. And you may not possess any weapons or firearms. Ms. Cunningham, is there anything else you would like for me to address?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Perry, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, take care, ma'am. Ashanti Weaver, good afternoon. Ms. Weaver, you were arrested for aggravated battery with weapon, dating violence.
Your Honor, may I be heard on bond amount?
Sure, there is probable cause. I was refreshing my recollection about this one. What would you like to argue with regard to bond?
Your Honor, we'd ask for a lower bond. Based on the affidavit, it looks like client was pushed by the alleged victim, and that's when this whole instigation started. And then she's also 20 weeks pregnant, and both of them are listed as victims.
Yes, it was a mutual combat, and it's impossible for me to discern based on paper who started what. Ms. Perry, what's the state's position?
The state would be okay with the lower bond, Your Honor.
Ms. Cunningham, what to you is a low bond?
Your Honor, we'd be asking for nothing higher than $1,000.
All right. I don't have a listed victim here to testify. Was he taken into custody as well?
I believe it was a notice to appear, Your Honor.
Okay. So I'm going to set bond at $500. You may not have contact with Irving Morgan. You must maintain a separate residence. I'll allow one-time return to 548 West 13th Street. I believe that's Apopka, to obtain personal belongings. You may not possess any weapons or firearms.
You're not. Your Honor, is the Public Defender's Office appointed?
Public Defender's Office is appointed based on the affidavit at the back of this packet. Yes, ma'am.
One moment, Your Honor. Your Honor, I understand this is the same situation that we spoke about earlier. I'm being told that they don't live together at the home.
Does it say
And
that?
it doesn't in the report. And like I said, this is the same situation as we just talked about before, but because she is 20 weeks pregnant, I'd ask the court to consider the maintained separate residences in this case.
What's the state's position on that?
I heard you want to say separate residence and no contact, actually.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I'm not arguing about the no contact. I understand the no contact, but it was put no return except one time with law enforcement. But because she lives in that home, it's actually her mother's home is what's being represented to me. And he does not, and she's 20 weeks pregnant. We would ask for the provision to be to maintain separate residences.
And it says that they do not reside together?
No,
It
that is
doesn't
what is
say
represented
either.
to me by my client right now. It doesn't say it in the report.
It does indicate that he has a Netflix account, which might suggest he lives somewhere else, and that's,
Say it would be okay with separate residences, Your Honor.
all right. It also says he ran out the back door where his vehicle was parked and drove away. Doesn't mean he doesn't live there, but under the circumstances, I'll grant that and make it maintain separate residence. No contact, though.
Thank you, Your
All right?
Honor.
Thank you. All right, Angelo D'Alessandro. All right, good afternoon, sir. Sir, you were arrested for battery, domestic violence. There is probable cause. Looks like you were down here for a getaway. Officer Thomas, what happens to pretrial release given that he lives out of state?
Repeat again, Judge?
Yeah, what happens to pretrial release since he lives out of state?
It's at your discretion if you would like to give that to him.
Okay. All right, you qualify for pretrial release conditions, sir. You do not qualify for representation of the Public Defender's Office, however. So you're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You can hire a lawyer to represent you. Based on the circumstances, I'm going to grant pretrial release conditions. You'll have to maintain contact with pretrial release. They will be giving you notice of court hearings and such. If you fail to maintain contact with them, your release will be revoked. You'll be extradited back down here, and things just get worse, okay? All right, thank you. Yes. Oh, yes. I'm sorry? Yes. Although everybody's out of state, so no contact with the listed victim, Olivia Gartland, no possession of weapons or firearms, maintain separate residence. Okay.
Judge, are you granting him permission to return back?
Yes.
Your Honor, Lamb Richard is behavior.
Okay. Thank you. So Richard Lamb is behavior.
Your Honor, we'd waive his appearance if appointed.
He does not qualify for appointment, so we'll reset him for tomorrow.
Yes, Your Honor.
right, Jared Maldonado Figueroa, is that you, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right, you were arrested for battery, dating violence, and for petty theft. There is probable cause. We have a witness here. Ma'am, raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And would you state your name and spell it for the court reporter?
My name is Angelise Santiago Ramos. It's Angeliz, as in zebra, Santiago.
All right. Do you and Mr. Maldonado live together?
No, sir.
All right. Tell me what you would like for me to consider with regard to release conditions.
I would like to drop the charges if I'm allowed to. I would like to drop the charges both. The first one because I believe he was wrongfully charged. He didn't physically abuse me. I wasn't physically hit. If anything, it was all verbal. He just grabbed my hand, and because I didn't call the cops, there were witnesses. So I believe they called the cops because they saw him grabbing my hand, but I wasn't hurt by him. I wasn't pushed or anything like that. And the second charge, when I was like talking to the cops, I told them that he had my cards, but I didn't mean to say it like he stole them from me. He never stole my credit cards or my ID. I just told him that he had my belongings with him because I was with him prior to the whole situation.
Right. If you became afraid of Mr. Maldonado, would you call for assistance?
No, I'm not afraid of him.
I know you're not afraid of him, but if he did something that made you in fear, would you call for assistance?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does he own any weapons or firearms that
No,
you know
sir.
of?
No.
All right. Ms. Perry, do you have any questions?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Cunningham, do you have any questions?
Just one. Do you want to have contact with him?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't.
Are you still boyfriend and girlfriend?
We're having a relationship like problems at the moment. We're gonna take a break, but we're gonna work it out eventually.
All right, well, all relationships are hard, but some are unnecessarily difficult, but I'll leave that up to you.
Mhm.
All right, so you're not opposed to non-hostile contact?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I can have contact with him.
Okay. All right, anything else, Ms. Cunningham?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so you do qualify for pretrial release conditions, so I'm going to grant your release on pretrial release conditions.
Thank you.
You are entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and you are eligible for representation by the Public Defender's Office, so I'll appoint the Public Defender to represent you. Sir, you may have non-hostile contact with Ms. Santiago. You may not possess any weapons or firearms, and you must maintain a separate residence, which sounds like it won't be a
One question.
problem. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Santiago.
I have a question. Can
What's
I?
that?
Is there a bond for him?
He's being released with no monetary conditions. He has to check in with pretrial release.
Is that going to be today? He's going to be released today.
I assume, but I don't know how that works.
In a couple of hours.
In a couple of hours? Thank you. That's my last question.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
All right, Richard Rupp. Good afternoon, Mr. Rupp.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Sir, you were arrested for battery, dating violence. There is probable cause. I am taking note of the fact that the listed victim said she did not wish to prosecute and declined to complete a sworn statement. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. Unfortunately, you don't qualify for representation by public defender, so you can hire a lawyer if you wish. You qualify for pretrial release. Even though you live in Pennsylvania, I'm going to grant pretrial release. Conditions means you're going to have to check in with pretrial release.
Fine.
They will keep you notified of court dates if you fail to appear for any court dates. And living in Pennsylvania doesn't excuse you from having to come back down for court, right? So if you fail to appear.
I would make it work.
Yeah. If you fail to appear, then your release could be revoked and you could be held without bond, okay? Conditions are going to be no return to 1329 Royal St. George Drive. I'll allow one-time return with law enforcement to get personal belongings, but you've got to go with law enforcement. No contact with the listed victim, Gina. Samaco. Gina Samaco, no contact there, no return to that location except on one time with law enforcement, and no possession of any drugs or, not drugs, any weapons or firearms, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you need permission to return back?
Yes, ma'am.
No, you're good.
I know, I started talking off the top of my head. No weapons or firearms only. Okay, Javonche Spicer. All right, good afternoon, sir. You were arrested for battery domestic violence, Mr. Spicer. There is probable cause for the arrest. You're entitled to be represented by the public defender. So I'm going to appoint the public defender to represent you, sir. You don't qualify for pretrial release. I don't have a witness here today. It's my understanding you do not live with Tykendra, is that correct?
No.
No, it's not correct, or no, you don't live together?
It's not correct.
You do live with her.
Okay.
I mean, she got a place in Tallahassee.
Does she currently reside?
In Tallahassee?
She was supposed to go back.
Okay.
I don't know what she did.
All right, well, so I'm going to set your bond at $500. You may have contact with Tykendra Knight only through a third party regarding parental time sharing and custody issues. That contact through the third party has to be non-hostile. Otherwise, you can't have contact with Tykendra Knight while the case is pending. You may not possess any weapons or firearms. You must maintain a separate residence. All right, is there anything else, Ms. Perry, you would be asking?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Cunningham?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spicer. 500. He didn't qualify for pre-TR. Ryan Willoughby? All right, Mr. Willoughby, you were charged, or arrested rather, with battery domestic violence. There is probable cause. I did. No, wait, I said maintain separate residence. That's his house. I was thinking of the guy from Pennsylvania. All right, there is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and you qualify for representation by the Public Defender Office, so I'll appoint the public defenders to represent you. All right, I'm going to set your bond at $1,000. You may not have contact with Anna Senek. I'll allow you to return one time to the shared residence, 5573 South Rio Grande, with law enforcement to obtain personal belongings. Otherwise, you can't have contact with her. You cannot possess any weapons or firearms. Is there anything else the state would be requesting?
He's receiving PTR, correct? With the bond?
Yes, he does. I set a bond at 1,000, but he does qualify for PTR, so scratch that. Madam Clerk, I apologize. I'll grant PTR. It is one-time return and maintain separate residence, yes. All right, thanks, sir. Montarius Burton. Good afternoon, Mr. Burton. Mr. Burton, you were arrested on the charges of trafficking in less than 200 grams of ecstasy or MDMA, possession of cocaine with intent to sell and deliver, possession of cocaine, and possession of drug paraphernalia. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and you do qualify for representation by the public defender, so I will appoint that office to represent you.
So, I understand.
All right, yeah, I thought you were still visiting over there. So the bond on count one is $100,000. The bond on count two is $15,000. Count three is $1,000, and count four is $500.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Will the court consider lowering count one? He's unable to afford it at $100,000.
I would rather the division judge review the case and determine bond.
Yes, Your Honor.
Those are the scheduled amounts. All right, and
Sorry, Your Honor, could you repeat bond amount for 3 and 4?
100, 15, 1,000, and 500.
Thank you.
And conditions of bond: no weapons or firearms, no possession of drugs or narcotics without a prescription. Okay, thanks, sir.
Your Honor, Cacho Ashton refused.
And Your Honor, we'd waive his appearance.
I don't have an affidavit.
Your Honor, the court can appoint us for IA purposes.
I don't know if he's qualified. I guess I can do that. So you're waiving his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
So I'll provisionally appoint the public defender's office. He was arrested for petty theft with 2 prior convictions. There is probable cause conditions of his release are the $1,000 bond, no return to 20 North Summerlin Avenue in Orlando.
What was the reason?
Sorry?
Okay.
Your Honor, Coleman Barrett, his behavior.
All
Your
right.
Honor, we'd also waive his appearance, but I also have a probable cause challenge for this one.
With the whole thing or
No,
with?
only for the resisting with violence charge.
Yeah, I already noticed that. Have a
Your
note. I think there is probable cause for without violence.
I agree.
Okay. So you're waiving his appearance?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he does qualify. So the public defender is appointed to represent Mr. Coleman. He was arrested for resisting an officer with violence, petty theft, I believe. Yeah, and trespassing. There is no probable cause for resisting with violence. There is probable cause for resisting without violence. There is probable cause for petty theft and for trespassing. He does not qualify for pretrial release. His bond on count 1 will be reduced to $500. Count 2 and count 3 will be stayed at $500. He may not return to 1171 East Plant Street in Winter Garden. He may not have contact with Julio Joseph. All right.
Your Honor, Davis Kiona, she refused.
Your Honor, we waive her appearance.
All right. Public defender will be provisionally appointed to represent Ms. Davis. She was arrested for attempted burglary of a dwelling. There is probable cause. Her bond will be stayed at $1,000. No return to 4500 Silver Star Road. And that is an apartment complex, so she may not go back to that complex in general. She may not have contact with Clenisha Luther. She may not possess any weapons or firearms. All right, then our next person, Remel Escarment. Did I pronounce that correctly?
So Romel Escarment, but last name, yes.
Okay, good. Remel is how it's pronounced? All right. Sir, you were arrested for fleeing, attempting to elude a law enforcement officer. There is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and you qualify for representation by the public defender, so I'll appoint that office to represent you. I'm going to set your bond. I'm going to set your bond at, let's see, you don't qualify for pretrial release.
For
ROR? No, I'm not going to do ROR. I'm going to set your bond at $2,000. Based on the nature of the offense and the circumstances described. Okay. I'm not going to set any special conditions. If you drive recklessly or speed or flee, it'll be a new law offense. So just stay out of trouble. Take care. Okay. Take care. All right, then we have Arnett Gregory. All right, Mr. Gregory. This is 22 CF 13725. Sir, you were arrested on 5 charges: battery on a law enforcement officer, resisting an officer without violence, battery, disorderly conduct at a public establishment, and disorderly intoxication. There is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You do not qualify for representation by the public defender, so you can hire a lawyer if you wish to be represented by a lawyer. You qualify for pretrial release, but I'm not going to grant pretrial release based on the circumstances that I read about. I don't think pretrial release is appropriate. So I'm going to stay the bonds at $5,000 on count 1 and $200 each on counts 2 through 5. Conditions of release are you may not return to any Disney property, and you may not have contact with Matthew Travers. All right. I will allow you to return to Ohio once you post the bond. Okay? All right. Thank you, sir.
Are you saying once you post your bond, you can go back to it?
He wasn't alive.
No, he said after the bond, because he posted it. Your Honor, what was the bond amount?
$5,000 and then $200 for each of the next 4. $5,000 on count 1, $200 on count 2, 3, and 4.
You can go back to Ohio, but your case will be open, so you need to make sure you're keeping up with your court date.
Right. You'll get notice of court hearings through your bond surety, okay?
Your Honor, how portrayed is behavior?
All right. Ms. Cunningham?
We'd waive his appearance, Your Honor.
All right. He is eligible for appointment of the Public Defender's Office, so I'll appoint that office to represent him. He was arrested for resisting with violence, battery on a law enforcement officer, and trespass after warning. There is a probable cause. He does not qualify for pretrial release. His bonds will be stayed in the amounts of $1,000 on count 1, $2,500 on count 2, $500 on count 3. He may not return to 8601 South Orange Blossom Trail, which is Orlando Palms Hotel. All right, anything further, Ms. Cunningham?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, Hayes Isaiah bonded.
All right.
My name is Joseph Herzog.
All right, Joseph Herzog, okay. Mr. Herzog, you were arrested on 6 charges. You were charged with trafficking MDMA or ecstasy, possession of cocaine, possession of Xanax, possession of more than 20 grams of marijuana or cannabis, possession of drug paraphernalia, and possession of a controlled substance. There is probable cause. What was that gentleman about 5 back charged with the trafficking? You know what drug that was? Last name started with an M, I believe. Last name started with an M, I believe.
Your Honor, it was Burton.
Burton. His first name was?
His first name was Terrius.
An M, okay, good deal, so it was. Yeah, all right, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we're being consistent with the bond amounts. All right, there is probable cause, sir. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer in the case. You do qualify for representation by the public defender. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $100,000. Your bond on counts 2, 3, 4, and 6 will be $1,000 each. And the bond on count 5 will be stayed at $100. Your ROR in case number 22 CF 8276 will be revoked. You'll be held on zero bond pretrial detention pursuant to statute in that case. I raised the 150.
Oh, no, it's 100.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, you're good. Okay, thank you. All right, and Erlaine Jean-Jacques.
Bonded, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
Bonded.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
What's your?
All right, and then Robert Murphy. Is that you, sir? All right, Mr. Murphy. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You don't, though, qualify for representation by the Public Defender's Office, so you can hire an attorney if you wish. Sir, you were arrested for possession of cocaine with a weapon, possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver with a weapon, possession of cannabis greater than 20 grams, possession of MDA ecstasy, and possession of cocaine. There is probable cause. Your bond on count 1 is going to be $15,000, bond on count 2, $15,000, bond on counts 3, 4, and 5, $1,000. You may not possess any weapons or firearms. You may not possess any drugs or narcotics without a valid prescription. Your bond in case number 22 CF 8027 is going to be revoked, and you'll be held on pretrial detention. In that case. Okay. There's the colors. All right, Joel, tell me how to pronounce your name, sir.
Anatunde.
Anatunde.
Sir,
okay.
Like on a Tuesday.
On a Tuesday. All right, Joel Anatunde. I like that name. 22 CF 13714. I'm sorry you were arrested for tampering with electronic monitoring device. There is probable cause. You don't qualify for pretrial release because of the nature of this charge. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You do qualify for representation by the public defender, so I'm going to appoint that office to represent you. I'm going to stay your bond at $1,000. I think that's appropriate under the circumstances. I'm not going to set any special conditions. Your arrest here may affect your release in Seminole County. I have no control over that, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, good luck to you, Mr. Anatunde. All right, Andrew Richmond. All right, good afternoon, sir. So you're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You qualify for representation by the public defender, so I'm going to appoint the office to represent you. You were arrested on a capias issued in the case on the charges of grand theft of more than $20,000 and less than $100,000, burglary of a structure on counts 2 through 7. Your bonds are $5,000 on count 1, $150 on counts 2 through 7. And the special conditions are you may not have contact with any victim, co-defendant, or witness. You may not return to the location of the offenses. You may not consume any alcohol, drugs, or controlled substances without a valid prescription. You may not possess any weapons or firearms, and you may not drive without a valid driver's license, okay? Let's see, I've appointed the public defender to represent you. Sir, you're out on bond in case number 22 CF 6376.
May I be heard on that?
Sure.
I'd ask for no action to be taken because I looked at the timeline and these are from the same investigation. It appears that they're from the same investigation based off of the affidavit for the first warrant and then this affidavit.
All right, let me take a look. So you weren't arrested in the other case until August, and these events in this case occurred in April and May, so I'm not taking action.
Yes, Your Honor. And could you tell me the bond for count 8 again?
They're all 150.
Okay.
Did I say count 8? I thought there were only 7.
I may have miscounted.
Is there an 8?
Or 9.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I didn't address 8 and 9. 8 and 9 are burglary of a structure also, and your bond on each of those are $150 as well. Okay? Thank you, sir.
5,000 on count 1.
Your Honor, Rivera Arroyo Harrell, bonded.
All right, thank you. Let's see, Rivera Arroyo. Okay. What about Joshua Rooks? Is that you, sir?
Yes, it is.
All right, sir. You were arrested for 3 charges: petty theft, resisting a merchant, and possession of a controlled substance. There is probable cause for the arrest. The case number is 22 CF 13721, by the way. There is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you because you qualify. Your bonds are going to be $100 on counts 1 and 2, and $1,000 on count 3. May not return to Walmart at 2500 South Kirkman Road, and you may not possess any drugs or narcotics without a valid prescription. Your bond in 22 MM 7110 will be revoked, and you'll be held on pretrial detention in that case. Okay, is there anything further, Ms. Cunningham?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Here's the, right, and then we have Jody Singletary. All right. Let's see. Mr. Singletary, you were arrested on the charge of possession of cocaine. There is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and I'm appointing the Public Defender's Office to represent you. Your case number is 22 CF 13131. Your bond is going to be reduced to $1,000. May not possess any drugs or narcotics without a valid prescription. Yes. He's what? What do you mean? Oh, it's already, somebody's already posted it? All right, so is there anything else I need to address in the case, Ms. Cunningham?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're saying it's pending or so, or it's been posted. She said pending. So, okay. So leave it at the amount that they posted, yeah. I was just changing it to be, try to be consistent, but. All right, good afternoon, ma'am. Are you Catherine Swain?
No, Your Honor. Swain bonded.
She bonded, Your Honor.
Swain bonded, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this Nicole Watkins?
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, Ms. Watkins. You were arrested for possession of cocaine and possession of drug paraphernalia.
Yes, sir.
There is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer, and you qualify for representation by the public defender, so I'm appointing them to represent you. I'm going to stay your bond at the amount of $1,000 on count 1 and $100 on count 2. Okay?
10%.
Conditions of bond will be no possession of any drugs or narcotics without a valid prescription, okay? Your case number is 22 CF 13733. All right, Empress Williams, how do you pronounce your name, ma'am? Say it again?
Empress.
Empress, okay. Not spelled like Empress, but that's how it's pronounced, okay. All right, Empress Williams. Then case number is 22 CF 13718. Ms. Williams, you were charged with 3 counts, or arrested for 3 counts, battery, misdemeanor battery, robbery by sudden snatching, and damage to property, criminal mischief over $200 and less than $1,000. There is probable cause. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. I'm going to appoint the Public Defender's Office to represent you because you do qualify. Conditions of your release, ma'am, are $500 on count 1, $1,000 on count 2, $500 on count 3. You may not have contact with Brenda Griffiths. You may not return to the Forest Brook neighborhood. All right. Ms. Cunningham, is there anything else we need to address for Ms. Williams?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Ms. Williams. John David Williams?
Yes, sir.
All right, good afternoon, sir. Sir, you were arrested on a warrant for failure to appear for a case management conference. Your release was revoked and you're held on a 0 bond. Ms. Cunningham, was your office already appointed for Mr. Williams?
May I have 1 moment? You have the case number on hand?
Yes, I'm sorry, 22 CF 4015. They are? Yes, you are already appointed. Okay, so you'll be able to get in to see the division judge regarding your case. All right, Mr. Williams? Timothy Caldwell. How are you, Mr. Caldwell?
Good, sir.
Your case number, sir, is 2020 MM 4488. You were arrested, sir, for failure to appear. There is no bond. It was a probation status hearing that you were supposed to appear for, apparently. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. The Public Defender's Office is appointed to represent you, okay? They can get you in to see the division judge to try to resolve your case.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Why don't you talk to Ms. Cunningham real quick? All right, thank you, sir. Jorge Dupree. All right, Mr. Dupree, you were arrested on a failure to appear warrant or capias. You were supposed to have appeared at pretrial. The judge in your case revoked your release and set a bond amount for $2,000. So you're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. If you're not already represented by the Public Defender's Office, I will appoint them because you do qualify for representation by that office. Okay? Anything further, Ms. Cunningham?
No, Your Honor.
I think, sir. Hector Miguel? Mr. Miguel, you were arrested for failure to appear. At arraignment. The judge in your case set your bond for $500. All right. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You qualify for representation by the appointed counsel, so I appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent you. Okay? Thanks, sir.
Your Honor, Frenzanova Karina bonded.
All right, Karina Frenzanova bonded. Then we have Michael Johnson.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir. Sir, you were arrested for misdemeanor battery. Your case number is 22MM503. There is probable cause. Your bond's going to be $500. I'm going to order that you, conditions that you not return to 277 East Main Street, Circle K. No contact with the listed victim. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You do qualify for appointed counsel, so I'm appointing the Office of the Public Defender to represent you, okay? Lloyd McFarlane. Mr. McFarlane, good afternoon, sir. Sir, you were arrested for trespassing. There is probable cause. I'm going to appoint the Office of the Public Defender because you do qualify for appointed counsel. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You can hire a lawyer if you wish as well. Your bond, sir, is going to be $500, and conditions of bond are that you not return to 231 South Forest Avenue in Apopka. So you're out on bond in 22 CF 5025. Your bond in this case, or in that case, will be revoked. You'll be held on pretrial detention without bond pursuant to statute. Okay? And I think I said that I'm appointing the public defender to represent you. Okay, take care. All right, good afternoon. Are you Mr. Holden?
Yes, sir.
James Edwin Holden, 21 CT 708. Mr. Holden, you were arrested on a couple of out-of-county warrants, I believe. I'm sorry? Oh, it's a duplicate, okay. So there was a warrant out of St. Johns County for failure to appear on 2 counts. The judge in St. Johns set $500 bond per count. You will be transported to St. Johns County if you don't post bond, okay? The public defender is provisionally appointed to assist you here if you need assistance before you are transported. Okay?
Did you say if I don't post bond?
If you don't post bond, okay? But you're entitled to post bond, and it's $500 per count. Okay? Thank you, sir.
Your Honor, Shire Holt Carl refused.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Cunningham?
He'd waive his appearance.
All right, I'm provisionally appointing the public defender. I don't have an affidavit for him. Well, I guess I'm appointing you, and you said you all would then send an affidavit. Is that
Well,
right?
not for this one because it's out of county.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't even looked down at that yet. Yes, okay, out of county. So provisionally appointed, it's an out-of-county warrant. Out of Lake County bond is $2,000. Okay. Next case, Charles Horton. All right, Mr. Horton, your case number is 2019 CF 17231BO. So you were arrested on a violation of probation warrant issued by Judge Navarro, and you do not have a bond. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You qualify for representation by the public defender, and that office is appointed to represent you, okay? Take care, sir. Bertel Ross, is that right? All right, Ms. Ross, your case is 2020 CF 6573. You were arrested for violation of probation on a warrant issued by Judge Navarro. There is no bond. You're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. You qualify for representation by the public defender, and that office is appointed to represent you, okay? Take care, man. And then Sheldon Banks.
Your Honor, may I be heard on this case?
Sure.
Your Honor, I would like to argue that there's no probable cause. I know it said it was disorderly conduct because he disturbed the peace of the parking lot.
He was trying to sleep with his hand in his pants, right? This is the
In
guy?
the passenger seat
In
of
the
the
passenger
car.
seat, yeah.
So, Your Honor, we'd argue that there's no PC, but even if the court does find PC, based off of the facts, we'd ask for ROR.
Ms. Perry, what is your,
No objection to RR, Your Honor.
so, I'm going to find no probable cause and grant release ROR. I'm not going to take action on the CT case. Yeah, I had the same concerns when I read the affidavit.
Yes, Your Honor, I read it a couple times.
This is why I sit back there and read. I'm slow, but I do read everything.
Your Honor, Briggs Kevin Bonnet.
All right. And that concludes our docket today, I believe.
Wow.
Officer Thomas, it's 2:01.
I got a question before we end.
All right, can we go off the record?
Need to be on.
Oh, it needs to be on the record, okay.
On Juan Gomez, the one with the failure to appear in the home confinement situation.
Okay.
Do they had a bond in home confinement? I know you said no bond, but the home confinement, are you removing that? So therefore we can have that on the court order.
Correct. And I see his cover sheet here, but his face sheet wasn't in the right order, and so that's why I didn't see that when it came up. I just, and Andrew Richmond, that one was left over. But yeah, we'll take off the home confinement on Mr. Gomez. And I do see that there was a first appearance detainer. You're good? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll be adjourned. Everybody have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Honor.
Thank you.